So let's break those bad beliefs you might have coming in, because you're not a bad person if you have these bad beliefs. They're pretty common. Shout out to Breaking Bad, one of the best TV series of all time. First belief is that you have to eat perfectly clean to lose weight. So you do that for a while, but then you fall off the wagon inevitably, have the full pizza to yourself, and you're in that vicious cycle of trying to be perfect, only to fall off, rinse and repeat. The truth is the 80-20 rule is your friend. I put foods into two buckets, not clean or dirty. Nutritious foods that you understand support your goals, and fun foods that keep you sane and consistent because you can indulge a bit and scratch that itch and then get back on track. Perfection isn't the goal. Consistency is. It's the whole tortoise versus hare, comparison. The tortoise will win a note in the long run, at least. Might lose weight slower on the scale in the short term, but they'll still be standing on the scale a year from now. All right. So that's what I talked about is chasing an ideal that didn't support me being my best. I feel my worst when I'm this lean, but there's a point in diminishing returns where I am too heavy to feel my best as well, right? I feel my best around 18% body fat. This is when all goes to crap. So sustainable long-term, no more on and off switch. You might be more focused on your goals in sprints at times and sustaining at other times, but not this on or off, where you lose 10, gain 10, rinse and repeat. So that's why it works. This is a quote I heard. It's not sustainable forever. Don't do it for a day. It might be hard for a day to maybe track your calories or eat cleaner, obviously, but it can be sustainable. If it provides that flexibility to have a treat at night, to enjoy a bit more flexibility on weekends, then it is sustainable. What's not sustainable for most is like carnivore diet where you can never have a piece of cake again. Hopefully that makes sense. Type of 1, if this is resonating, and we've got a few in the school group watching, a few on Zoom, smaller group than I expected. All right, number 2. It's my hormones stopping me from losing weight. And I will caveat this with a few things. It might be a part of the process. It might be triggering behaviors that make it harder to lose weight, but it's not the hormones themselves, okay? So here's how we hack hormones with our group of ladies who are in perimenopause, menopause, post, is we make the foundation of their meals protein to preserve muscle, because muscle wasting is a real reality in this stage of life. That counteracts that piece in conjunction with the strength training. And most forget the strength training, or they think the classes they go to once or twice a week are strength training. Not the same thing, right? So we want to preserve muscle and bone. It's going to keep your metabolism active. You're going to feel stronger, less pain, you're able to move better. That correlates directly to your sex hormones, your cortisol, stress hormones, etc. Okay. Now we want to prioritize sleep, and I'll get to it in a sec. If you're really having issues with sleep in this stage of life, you may need to go down some different avenues, but control the controllables, which is get in bed at an early enough hour to at least give yourself a chance for 8 hours. Whole foods, because there's less blood sugar ups and downs. Alcohol can be a real trigger for hormonal issues like the hot flashes. It can trigger that. So trying to reduce your consumption of the wine and eating more whole foods, huge, right? And then I think this one gets lost in the shuffle is managing your stress, like maybe it's meditation, maybe it's a yoga practice, even just outdoor walks without stimulation, and at the same time, too much intense exercise. And a lot of fitness marketing promotes themselves to this age group when really that's probably not the best thing they should be doing is high intensity exercise 3, 4, 5 times a week or running long distances. It's just exacerbating the issues. Okay. So I shared Jackie because she came in with all the symptoms, perimenopause. She was 49, turning 50. And I know I did an interview with her. I don't know if she shared that in the quote here, but a lot of the symptoms greatly reduced, not only the weight loss and feeling better, that's awesome, but her quality of life drastically improved just by our big 5 habits. Okay. The things we mentioned on the previous slide. So there's proof in the pudding here. So I went to a conference. When was that? Vegas in June, end of June. And they had a panel of menopause experts. And these were the themes that I had in my notes. This came up time and time again. Balanced diet. So the high protein, high fiber combo, trying to minimize the crap. Fortunately, you seem to react worse to it the older you get. Muscle maintenance, hint, hint, potentially creatine supplementation to support that. This is particularly for women, but I would say men go through menopause to some degree, and all these things may or may not make sense at the same token there. Hormone therapy. So that's not my area of expertise, but if you introduce all the lifestyle changes, I would say 80% of our clients in this age group see vast improvements. Some I refer for an HRT consultation. Unfortunately, it has such a bad rap because poor research in the past linked, estrogen therapy to cancer. A lot of that's been debunked, but it's still out there. But I would suggest if you're having hot flashes, insomnia, irritability, you're doing all the right things, then you may have to go down that avenue. I can try to make a connection for you, but unfortunately, it's not my wheelhouse, right? Way beyond my scope. Bone health. So apart from strength training and protein, those are the big two. Calcium and vitamin D, either through diet. It's hard to get vitamin D through diet or supplements. And then managing that stress. Magnesium seems to be a real key. And we'll often tell our clients in this age group to experiment with supplementing it and see if their sleep quality improves. Generally speaking, it does. Okay. Again, fairly hard to get from diet. Okay. Take a breather here. All good so far? Yes, no, maybe so. Quick thumbs up. Yeah. All right. So the third belief is you can do it all on my own, right? Truth is, if you could do it on your own, you probably already have done it. I came to this unfortunate reality a few times. First was when I was trying to lose those 60 pounds and had all the information online, but I was bouncing around from whatever was the flavor of the month at that point. Keto before it was cool. I think I even went vegetarian for a while. And I'd always kind of bounce around and get some surface level results only to gain it back. And it wasn't until I heard a guy named Ken Hill, the accountability he provided, and he got me to put blinders on and stop chasing shiny objects and focus on the variables that matter. It was like, okay, I know all this, but you've never done it consistently. I'm like, that's fair enough. And so having those weekly accountability check-ins, that's that whole year with Ken is when I lost 60 pounds. And for sure, I don't think I would have been able to do it on my own. Just by having another human in the mix, I showed up on the tough days. Okay. Same thing in business. I probably wouldn't have a business if it was only me forever, because it's a roller coaster, right? And you face a lot of glass ceilings and obstacles and limiting beliefs, and having mentors along the way. I've had 2 or 3 really life-changing mentors who I invested in, put skin in the game. They showed me the way, what worked for them, how I could tailor it to my own circumstances, and boom. Beautiful. Because we hear this a lot. I know what to do. I just need to do it, but they don't do it. They end up staying stuck for years, decades, and forever, when really they could have taken a shortcut and gotten some help. So assess your last 12 months. Are you in the same spot? Maybe there's extenuating circumstances that are holding you back. But what's at stake if you continue to flounder, right? That's the question to ask yourself. Because I bet there's plenty of reasons to make these changes. So unfortunately, we have to put skin in the game and commit to it in order to make those changes. I liken it to like the DIY paddle boat across the lake. You might get there eventually. Might be a rocky, wavy road. Or jump in with someone who's been there, done that, with the community and coaching and a proven plan, and the speedboat. Get there a lot quicker, a lot less roadblocks. That's all I'm here to provide. Okay. All right. More or less what I've already said. The last myth before we wrap this up is the belief that cardio is the path to burn fat. Cardio plays a role. Your heart needs to be healthy. You do burn some additional calories. Eventually, your body adapts quite quickly to it, though, where, for example, you might burn 400 calories from a 5K the first time you do it. It might be half that or less. a month or two from now, and you may likely eat back a lot of those calories because it ramps up hunger, right? Where I think it makes the biggest difference, though, is the focus on muscle maintenance or lack thereof. And a lot of times in the research, people who go on cardio only plans or Ozempic only plans, they lose a lot of weight, but half of it, potentially as much as half of it, is like bone density and muscle and the water that you need to support your brain functioning optimally. And then you end up at the same body fat percentage looking roughly the same, and your metabolic health is not at much improved. Okay. So think of exercise as the tool to maintain that lean body mass, muscle mass, or tone and tighten up. And think of your nutrition intake and how much you move in terms of walking. That's going to drive the fat loss. That is the combination that works best in terms of long-term adherence and long-term success. Okay. So stop saying, oh, I'll add the strength training in once I lose the weight. Because you'll never quite get to where you want to be without the strength training right from the start. All right, so just to recap, you don't need to eat perfectly clean. Think 80-20 rule. Yeah, you may have your trigger foods that you just can't have in the house because you overdo it, but flexibility is key. Hormones aren't likely holding you back. Fix your habits first. Hopefully that drastically improves everything you're feeling. If it doesn't, then yeah, obviously consider the hormonal therapy. And then DOI can only take you so far. Been there, done that. So this is our process. Generally speaking, our 5 habits fit into these 3 categories: flexible eating plan, strategic strength training, that's going to polish the stone, and then accountability with some deadlines mixed in, maybe some consequences like that ADC formula is what gets us to take action consistently long enough over time, right? So I won't go too in depth on that. I can share that at another time, but hopefully this was helpful for those in school. Any questions that come up, drop them in the chat or unmute yourself. I know we got a few people live on Zoom, so the floor is yours, you guys. Eileen, Steve, Julie, Marcy. You guys are all good? Thumbs up. All right. So we can leave it there then. Hopefully that made sense. Oh, there she is. There's Sam. Okay. Sam/Eileen. I wasn't sure who that was until you put your video back on. Nice to see you. All right. We'll let you guys get on with your Friday then. I'll post the replay ideally this afternoon, so those that sent their regrets can tune in. If you're not a member, book in that free consultation, right? Workwithmitch.ca. That's the place to start the process before you ask. Let me just drop that in the chat, actually, so it shows up. Otherwise, if you're making progress on your own, keep going. Cheers, guys. Have a good rest of your week.